The sky above Aldara Prime burned red with fire. Explosions lit up the atmosphere as the last of the orbital defense platforms fell. Dr. Ilara watched from the window of the science complex, her four-fingered hands trembling slightly. This was the third day of the attack. Soon the Krakthar ships would break through and begin their ground assault. "Doctor, please, we must finish the transmission," said her assistant from across the room. Dr. Ilara turned away from the window. The quantum communication device hummed softly on the lab table. It was their last hope, an experimental machine designed to send messages across vast distances of space without the normal delays. No one had ever tested it beyond their own solar system. But they had no choice now. "Is it ready?" she asked. "Yes. We've connected it to our deepest astronomical databases. The message will reach all catalog systems with signs of advanced civilization." Dr. Ilara nodded and stepped to the device. She placed her hand on the scanner and spoke clearly. "This is Dr. Ilara of the Aldaran people. Our worlds are under attack by the Krakthar Dominion. They have destroyed our outer colonies and now attack our homeworld. We are a peaceful species with advanced technology but limited defensive capabilities. We offer our knowledge freely to any who might help us. Please, we have little time left." She ended the transmission with the press of a button. The machine hummed louder, consuming enormous power as it sent her desperate plea across the stars. "Will anyone hear us?" her assistant asked. Dr. Ilara looked back at the burning sky. "I don't know. The galaxy is vast, and we are just one small voice calling out." Lisa Winters stared at her console in disbelief. It was just past midnight at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters in Colorado. As communications specialist for the night shift, she'd expected another quiet evening of routine signals and standard check-ins from Earth's small fleet of interstellar vessels. "Commander Harris," she called out. "Sir, you need to see this." Jack Harris put down his coffee and walked over. He was a tall man with short gray hair and eyes that had seen 20 years of military service. "What am I looking at, Winters?" "Sir, we're receiving a signal unlike anything I've ever seen. It's coming through on channels that shouldn't be possible. The quantum fluctuation patterns are, well, they're alien." Harris leaned closer. "Is it a natural phenomenon?" "No, sir. There's a clear message embedded, audio and visual. The translation matrix is processing it now." The screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at a slender, blue-skinned being with large eyes and a delicate face. The message played, the alien's voice translated into English by the computer. When it finished, Harris stood straight. "Wake up, Admiral Dawson. Now." "Let me understand this correctly," Admiral Frank Dawson said as he paced the conference room. "An alien species we've never encountered or even heard of is asking for our help against another alien species that's attacking them." The UEDF Council sat around the table. Images from the Alderan message hovered in the air above them, showing the devastation of their outer colonies and the approaching Krakthar fleet. "Yes, sir," Lisa Winters replied. "We've verified the signal is genuine. The quantum communication method they used is beyond our current technology, which suggests they do indeed have advanced scientific knowledge," added Dr. Samantha Wells, the chief science officer. "Knowledge they're offering to share. But we know nothing about either of these species," said General Richard Porter. "For all we know, the aggressors have legitimate reasons for their actions. This could be a trap to draw us into someone else's war. Our probes have never reached that far into the galaxy," Harris pointed out. "This is the first contact with either species." Dawson stopped pacing. "What are our capabilities if we decide to respond?" "The Third Fleet could be ready in 72 hours, said Admiral Gloria Chen. "The new warp drives could get us there in about 2 weeks, though we'd be pushing them beyond recommended limits." 2 weeks might be too late," Lisa said quietly. The room fell silent. Dawson looked at each face around the table. "Humanity has dreamed of meeting other intelligent life for centuries," he said finally. "We've wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. And the first thing we hear is a cry for help." He paused. "What does it say about us if we ignore it?" "Sir, with all due respect, our first duty is to Earth. General Porter argued. Is it? Dawson asked. I always thought our duty was to humanity, to represent the best of what we can be. He turned to the window, looking out at the stars visible in the night sky. If we ignore this call today, who will answer when we're the ones calling tomorrow? He turned back to the room. Decision made. Admiral Chen, prepare the Third Fleet for immediate departure. I want every available ship. Dr. Wells, gather all the data we have on the region of space the signal came from. Commander Harris, Yule, coordinate with Communications Specialist Winters to establish a response protocol. Yes, sir, they replied in unison. And everyone, Dawson added, keep in mind that we're about to make history, the first humans to engage in combat beyond our solar system. Let's make sure it's history our descendants can be proud of. The news spread quickly across Earth. Humanity had received a distress call from the stars, and they were answering it. In shipyards across the planet and on the moon, vessels were prepared for battle. Weapons were loaded, shields reinforced, and engines primed for the long journey ahead. On the UES Valiant, Captain Diana Moore watched as her crew made final preparations. As flagship of the response fleet, the Valiant would lead the charge into unknown territory. Captain, all systems are ready, reported her first officer, Sam Russell. The fleet reports full combat readiness. Diana nodded. The Valiant was the most powerful warship humans had ever built, a testament to the unfortunate truth that mankind had gotten very good at warfare over the centuries. Now those skills would be put to use defending another species. Lieutenant Blackwell, is your tactical team prepared? She asked. Peter Blackwell looked up from his station. Yes, Captain. We've analyzed the Aldaran data on Krakthar ships and developed initial combat strategies. We'll refine them during the journey as we learn more. Engineer Campbell, how are the engines? Susan Campbell's voice came through the comm system from the engine room. Ready, Captain. I've pushed the warp field stabilizers beyond specs. We'll get there faster than anyone thinks possible. Diana took her seat in the command chair. On the main screen, she could see the other ships of the fleet moving into formation around them. 50 of Earth's finest vessels, crewed by the best men and women humanity had to offer. Communications. Send to all ships, prepare for departure on my mark. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Somewhere across the galaxy, the Aldarans were fighting for survival, not knowing if their message had been heard or if help was coming. They think no one is coming, she said quietly. Then louder. Let's prove them wrong. All ships, engage warp drive. Take us to Aldara. The stars on the view screen stretched into lines as the human fleet leapt toward their destiny, moving like a gathering storm across the void between worlds. The stars blurred past the viewport as the UES Valiant pushed its engines harder than any human ship had done before. Captain Diana Moore studied the holographic display of the Aldaran system. According to the data they had received, the Krakthar Dominion had already taken the 3 outer planets and was closing in on the Aldaran homeworld. Lieutenant Blackwell, update on our tactical analysis? She asked. Peter Blackwell looked up from his station. He was younger than most officers of his rank, but his mind for strategy had earned him his position. The Krakthar rely heavily on numbers, Captain. Their individual ships aren't as advanced as ours, but they use swarm tactics to overwhelm enemies. Like insects, Diana said. Exactly. They surround and isolate targets, then concentrate fire. But their coordination suggests some kind of central command structure. If we can disrupt that, we might have an advantage. Diana nodded. Work with Engineer Campbell to see if we can develop something to jam their communications. Already on it, Captain, came Susan Campbell's voice from the comm link. I'm studying the signal patterns from the Aldaran data. Their technology is amazing. I wish we were meeting them under better circumstances. The ship shuddered slightly as they pushed deeper into warp speed. How are the engines holding up, Campbell? Diana asked. They're running hot, but I've got my team monitoring them round the clock. We'll get there, Captain, we have to. 10 days into their journey, the fleet encountered something unexpected. The alarm sounded throughout the Valiant, pulling Diana from her brief rest period. Report, she demanded as she entered the bridge. Unidentified vessel ahead, First Officer Sam Russell replied. Small, appears to be damaged. No weapon signatures detected. On screen, the main viewer showed a sleek, silvery ship drifting in space. Its hull bore scorch marks and several breaches were visible. Life signs? Diana asked. Faint readings. Not human, Sam said. The ship's design matches Aldaran specifications from the data we received. Diana stood. They're refugees. Survivors from one of the outer colonies, most likely. She made a quick decision. Inform the fleet we're making a brief stop. Ready medical teams and prepare to bring survivors aboard. Within the hour, 27 Aldarans were aboard the Valiant. They were slender, blue-skinned beings with large, intelligent eyes. Most were scientists and their families who had escaped just before the Krakthar destroyed their research station. One of them, an engineer named Zeth, was able to communicate through the translation system. We thought no one would answer our call, he told Diana in the ship's medical bay. Our long-range sensors detected your fleet approaching. We couldn't believe it. We came as soon as we received your message, Diana replied. What's the current situation at your homeworld? Zeth's expression darkened. The Krakthar have established a blockade. They're systematically destroying our orbital defenses. Once those are gone, they'll begin landing troops. He paused. Our species has never faced such violence. We have no standing military. Our society focused on science and art for thousands of years. Why are the Krakthar attacking you? Asked Peter Blackwell, who had joined them. Resources initially. Our outer colonies were rich in rare elements, but now, I believe they want our technology. The Krakthar conquer and absorb. They take what they want and destroy the rest. Diana exchanged glances with Peter. We need to know everything you can tell us about them. Their ships, their tactics, their weaknesses. I will share all I know, Zeth said. But you should understand something. The Krakthar don't consider other species as equals. They especially dismiss younger spacefaring races. They will not expect you to be a threat. A small smile crossed Diana's face. Then they're in for a surprise. In the days that followed, Zeth worked closely with the human officers, providing critical information about Krakthar technology and battle tactics. Susan Campbell spent hours with him in engineering, modifying the fleet's weapon systems to better target Krakthar vulnerabilities. Major Alan Grant, commander of the Valiant's Marine Battalion, trained his soldiers using holographic simulations, based on Zeth's descriptions of Krakthar ground forces. They're bigger than us, he told his troops. Stronger, too. But they've never faced humans before. They don't know what we're capable of when our backs are against the wall. His Marines, men and women selected from Earth's finest fighting forces, took in the images of the hulking armored Krakthar warriors. They didn't flinch. If we need to engage on the ground, Grant continued, remember your training. Use their size against them. They're used to intimidating enemies, not fighting ones that hit back. On the final day of their journey, Diana called a meeting of all ship captains via holographic conference. 50 commanders appeared before her, representing every vessel in the human fleet. We'll arrive at the Aldaran system in 12 hours, she said. According to our latest analysis, we'll be facing a Krakthar force approximately twice our size. They have no idea we're coming. Captain Ben Oliver of the UES Defiant spoke up. What's our primary objective? Break the blockade around the Aldaran, homeworld. Establish a defensive perimeter. Buy time for the Aldarans to evacuate key personnel and data if needed. And if we can't break through? Asked another captain. Diana looked at each of them. Then we make the Krakthar pay such a price that they'll think twice before attacking another peaceful species. We show them that humanity stands against tyranny, wherever we find it in the galaxy. The captains nodded. They were military professionals, but this mission had become something more. It was humanity's first step onto a larger stage, their first declaration to the stars about what kind of species they were. Return to your ships, prepare your crews. Let's make history, Diana said. After the meeting, she stood alone on the bridge, watching the blur of stars through the viewport. Sam Russell approached quietly. "Nervous, Captain?" he asked. "A little," she admitted. "We're about to fight an enemy no human has ever faced, to defend a species we just met." Having second thoughts? Diana shook her head. "No, this is exactly where we should be." The ship's comm system activated. "Captain, this is engineering. We're ready to push the engines for the final approach." Diana straightened her uniform. "Understood. Tell all sections to prepare for battle stations. We drop out of warp in 10 hours. She took her seat in the command chair, her mind clear and focused. Somewhere ahead, the Eldarans were fighting for survival against overwhelming odds. They thought no one would come to their aid. They were wrong. Humanity was coming, and they were bringing a storm with them. The human fleet dropped out of warp at the edge of the Eldaran system. The sudden shift from faster-than-light travel back to normal space sent a ripple of energy across the ships. On the bridge of the UES Valiant, Captain Diana Moore took in the scene before her. The main view screen showed a blue-green planet, Aldara Prime, partially blocked by a ring of large black ships. The Krakthar blockade. Beyond them, flashes of weapons fire lit up the space around the planet as the last Alderaan defense platforms fought a losing battle. "All ships, battle formation," Diana ordered. "Lieutenant Blackwell, begin tactical sequence." Peter Blackwell's fingers moved quickly across his console. "Distributing targeting data to all ships. The Krakthar don't appear to have noticed us yet." "They've probably never had anyone sneak up on them before," Sam Russell said from his station. "Let's take advantage of that," Diana replied. "Engineer Campbell, status on our modified weapons?" Susan Campbell's voice came through clearly. "All set, Captain. The adjustments we made with Zeth's help should penetrate their shields at close range." Diana nodded. "Begin attack pattern Alpha. Signal the fleet." The 50 human ships moved in perfect formation, splitting into 3 separate groups. Diana watched as they accelerated toward the unsuspecting Krakthar blockade. "They're detecting us now," Peter reported. "Krakthar ships are breaking formation to face us." On the screen, the large alien vessels turned ponderously. They were massive. Compared to the human ships, each one nearly 3 times the size of the Valiant. Their dark hulls bristled with weapons, but their movements seemed slow, overconfident. "They're not rushing," Diana observed. "They don't see us as a threat." "Their mistake," Sam said. The first wave of human ships, fast attack cruisers, swept in from above the Krakthar formation. They launched a barrage of missiles that detonated just before reaching the alien shields. The explosions created a cloud of electromagnetic interference that temporarily blinded the Krakthar sensors. Behind this cover, the second wave, including the Valiant, moved in fast and close. "Weapons range in 3, 2, 1, Peter announced. "We have clean shots at 6 vessels." "Fire at will," Diana ordered. The Valiant's main cannons fired, shooting blue-white beams of energy at the nearest Krakthar ship. The beams struck the alien vessel's shields, which flared purple for a moment before failing completely. The Krakthar ship shuddered as the human weapons cut deep gashes in its hull. All around them, the rest of the human fleet engaged. Human vessels darted between the larger Krakthar ships, firing precisely at the weak points Zeth had identified. "The Krakthar are returning fire," Sam warned. The Valiant rocked as an energy blast struck its shields. "Shields holding at 82%, Peter reported. "Their weapons are powerful but slow to recharge." "Keep moving," Diana ordered. "Don't give them time to get a lock." On the tactical display, Diana watched as the human fleet executed their plan perfectly. While the first 2 groups engaged the blockade, the third group of ships bypassed the fight entirely, heading straight for the planet to assist the remaining Aldaran defenses. "We're receiving a transmission," said the communications officer. "It's from the Krakthar command ship." "On screen," Diana said. The view screen changed to show a massive, reptilian face. The Krakthar commander had gray-green scales, yellow eyes, with vertical pupils and a mouthful of sharp teeth. He wore ornate armor that gleamed dully in the lights of his bridge. "Unknown vessels," the Krakthar said, his words translated by the computer. "I am Supreme Warlord Gracchus of the Krakthar Dominion. You interfere in matters that do not concern you. Withdraw now or be destroyed. Diana stood tall. This is Captain Diana Moore of the United Earth Defense Force. We're here in response to the Aldaran distress call. Your unprovoked attack on a peaceful species concerns all civilized beings. It is you who should withdraw. Gracchus's eyes narrowed. Earth? We have no record of your kind. You are nothing. Primitive creatures who have stumbled beyond your place. He leaned closer to the screen. I will add your ships to my fleet after I crush you. The transmission ended. He seemed nice, Sam remarked dryly. Diana turned to Peter. Status of the battle? We've disabled 4 Krakthar vessels and damaged 7 more. Our third group has reached the planet and is engaging the Krakthar, ships bombarding the surface. 3 of our ships have taken heavy damage but remain operational. And the Krakthar response? They're reorganizing, trying to surround us. They're calling in reinforcements from the far side of the planet. Diana studied the tactical display. They're still following standard swarm tactics. They haven't adapted to our attack yet. She tapped her console. All ships execute maneuver beta. Let's hit them again before they regroup. The human fleet changed formation smoothly, clustering into tight groups that concentrated their firepower on specific targets. 2 more Krakthar ships fell quickly under the coordinated assault. Major Grant, Diana called over the comm. Prepare your team. We've identified an Aldaran research facility under attack on the surface. We need to extract the scientists. Ready when you are, Captain, came Grant's firm reply. Captain, Sam interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's Dr. Alara. The screen showed the blue-skinned Aldaran scientist. Behind her, lights flickered and smoke filled the room. You came, she said, her voice filled with wonder. You actually came. We received your message, Diana replied. We're here to help. Hold on a little longer. We're sending a team to your location. The facility contains our most advanced research, Dr. Alara said urgently. If the Krakthar capture it, they will use it to conquer more worlds. It must not fall into their hands. Understood. We'll get you and your data out. The ship rocked again as another Krakthar blast struck them. Shields at 64%, Peter reported. The Krakthar command ship is moving toward us. Diana nodded. They've realized we're the greatest threat. Good. She opened a channel to engineering. Campbell, I need more power to the engines. We're going to show Supreme Warlord Gracchus what humans are really capable of. You'll have it, Captain, Susan replied. These engines were built on Earth. They won't let us down. Diana turned to Sam. Signal Major Grant to launch his dropships and tell the rest of the fleet to prepare for Phase 2. Her eyes fixed on the massive Krakthar command ship moving toward them. The storm is just beginning. 3 weeks passed since the humans' arrival at Aldara Prime. The initial surprise attack had broken the Krakthar blockade, but the alien invaders were far from defeated. Both sides had settled into a tense standoff, with the human fleet forming, a protective barrier around the planet. On the bridge of the UES Valiant, Captain Diana Moore studied the latest sensor reports. The ship still showed battle damage from previous engagements, with repair crews working around the clock. They're coming back, she said quietly. Sam Russell nodded grimly. Long-range sensors confirm it. A massive Krakthar reinforcement fleet, at least 3 times our size. Diana wasn't surprised. The Krakthar Dominion had conquered dozens of worlds. They wouldn't abandon their plans because of one defeat. How long do we have? 12 hours at most, Sam replied. Diana opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, this is Captain Moore. The enemy is returning with reinforcements. Prepare for battle. All captains will report for briefing in 1 hour. She turned to Peter Blackwell. Lieutenant, we need a new strategy. They'll be ready for our previous tactics. Peter looked up from his console, dark circles under his eyes from days of little sleep. I've been working on something with Zeth and the Aldaran scientists. It's risky, but it might give us an edge. Show me, Diana said. Below the surface of Aldara Prime, Major Alan Grant watched as human engineers worked alongside Aldarans in a vast underground facility. After extracting Dr. Alara and her team in the first days of the battle, Grant's Marines had established a secure base in the planet's largest research complex. Dr. Alara approached him, her movements graceful despite her exhaustion. "Your people. Work quickly, Major. I've never seen such determination." Grant smiled slightly. "Humans are good at adapting, especially when our backs are against the wall." "The quantum disruption device is nearly complete," she said. "But we've never built a weapon before. My people have always used our science for peaceful purposes." "Sometimes you need to fight to protect that peace," Grant replied. "The Krakthar don't give you much choice." His comm unit beeped. "Grant here." "Major, this is Captain Moore. The Krakthar reinforcements are approaching. Is the device ready?" Grant looked to Dr. Alara, who nodded. "Almost, Captain. We'll need a few more hours." "Make it faster. We're running out of time." Admiral Frank Dawson stood on the bridge of the UES Sentinel as it dropped out of warp at the edge of the Eldaran system. Behind his flagship, 30 more human vessels appeared, Earth's second wave of defenders. "Status report," he demanded. "Our fleet is engaged with Krakthar reinforcements," his tactical officer replied. "They're outnumbered but holding position around the planet." Dawson nodded. He had pushed every resource Earth could spare to get here in time. "Signal Captain Moore. Tell her the cavalry has arrived." On the Valiant, Diana felt a surge of hope as the sensor officer called out, "Captain, Earth vessels detected entering the system." "About time," Sam said with a grin. Diana allowed herself a brief smile before turning back to the battle. The Krakthar ships had been hammering their lines for hours. 3 human vessels had already been lost, and many more damaged. "Open a channel to Admiral Dawson," she ordered. Dawson's face appeared on screen. "Captain Moore, looks like you could use some help." "Glad to see you, sir. We've developed a plan with the Aldarans, but we need to get close to the Krakthar command ship to deploy it. Then let's make that happen. The Sentinel will lead the attack on their flank. Draw their attention while you make your move." The battle shifted as the fresh human ships entered the fray. Admiral Dawson's vessels struck the Krakthar from behind, forcing them to divide their attention. "Now's our chance," Diana said. "Engineer, Campbell, give me everything the engines have got. Lieutenant Blackwell, plot a course straight through their formation." "That's practically suicide, Captain," Sam warned. Diana's eyes were fixed on the massive Krakthar command ship. "Sometimes you have to charge straight into the storm." The Valiant surged forward, its engines glowing hot as Susan Campbell pushed them beyond their limits. 2 other human ships followed in its wake, creating a wedge formation that sliced through the Krakthar battle line. Enemy fire rocked the ship violently. "Shields at 30%, Peter reported. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. "Keep going," Diana ordered. "Get me Major Grant." Grant's face appeared on screen, the underground facility visible behind him. "We're ready, Captain. The device is complete. We're approaching the target. Prepare for transport." On the tactical display, Diana could see the Krakthar command ship growing closer. It was enormous, a floating fortress bristling with weapons, and at its heart was Supreme Warlord Gracchus, directing the battle against these unexpected human adversaries. "They're targeting us with everything they've got," Sam warned, as another blast shook the ship. "Shields critical," Peter reported. "One more direct hit and they're down." Diana gripped her chair as the ship rocked again. "Distance to target? 5,000 kilometers and closing," Peter replied. "We'll be in transport range in 30 seconds. "Major Grant, stand by," Diana ordered. On the screen, she could see Grant and a team of Marines gathering around a device the size of a small car. It pulsed with blue energy, a combination of human and Aldaran technology. 20 seconds to transport range. Peter counted down. Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields are down," Sam shouted. "Reroute emergency power," Diana ordered. "We need to hold together just a little longer." 10 seconds. The ship groaned as another blast struck the now unprotected hull. "We're in range," Peter announced. "Major Grant," Diana called. "You're clear to transport." On the screen, Grant nodded. "See you on the other side, Captain." He and his team vanished in a flash of light as the transporter activated. "Did they make it?" Diana demanded. Peter checked his console. Confirmed they've materialized on the Krakthar command ship. Diana allowed herself a small breath of relief. Now for Phase 2. All ships concentrate fire on the command ship's lower quadrant. We need to create a distraction for Grant's team. The human vessels still functional enough to fight poured fire onto the designated section of the massive Krakthar ship. Captain, Sam said urgently, we've got a problem. The Krakthar are moving their main planet killer weapon into position. They're preparing to fire on Aldara Prime. Diana's jaw tightened. How long? 10 minutes. Maybe less. She opened a channel. To Grant. Major, you need to hurry. The Krakthar are preparing to destroy the planet. Grant's voice came through, broken with static. Understood? Fighting our way. Heavy resistance. Near the central chamber. The transmission cut off. Diana looked at her damaged bridge, at her loyal crew fighting to save a species they hadn't known existed a month ago. Hold this position, she ordered. Whatever happens, we give Grant the time he needs. The Valiant shuddered as more Krakthar weapons found their mark, but Diana's eyes never left the massive command ship on the viewscreen. Somewhere inside that fortress, human Marines were fighting against impossible odds. The fate of Aldara Prime, and perhaps the future relationship between humans and the wider galaxy, hung in the balance. Major Alan Grant ducked as energy blasts scorched the wall behind him. His team of Marines had fought their way deep into the Krakthar command ship, leaving a trail of stunned and fallen enemies in their wake. The quantum disruption device hovered beside them on a gravity sled, its blue light pulsing steadily. How much further? Asked Sergeant Kelly Nash, reloading her weapon. Grant checked the map Zeth had helped them create. 2 more sections to the main command center. That's where we need to plant the device. A group of Krakthar warriors rounded the corner ahead, their massive armored forms filling the corridor. They were nearly 8 feet tall, with thick scales and powerful limbs. Take cover, Grant shouted as enemy fire erupted around them. The Marines responded with practiced precision, using the ship's structural supports as shelter while returning fire. The Krakthar were strong, but the humans were quick and adaptable. They'd been fighting for 3 weeks now, learning their enemies' patterns. Rogers, Martinez, flank left, Grant ordered. Johnson, suppressing fire. The Marines moved as directed, working like a well-oiled machine. They had trained for years for combat situations, though none had expected to be fighting alien invaders on a distant spaceship. For Earth and Aldara, Sergeant Nash shouted as they pushed forward, driving the Krakthar back. On the UES Valiant, Captain Diana Moore watched the tactical display with growing concern. The ship's systems were failing around her, with damage reports coming in from all decks. Yet they held their position, drawing fire from the Krakthar command ship to protect Grant's team inside. Status of the planet killer weapon? She asked. Peter. Blackwell checked his readings. Power levels rising. 4 minutes until they can fire. Diana opened a channel to Engineer Campbell. Susan, I need a miracle. Can you get our weapons back online? In engineering, Susan wiped sweat from her brow as she worked amidst sparking panels and hissing coolant lines. Working on it, Captain. Rerouting emergency power now. Diana turned to Sam. Signal Admiral Dawson. Tell him to focus all available firepower on the planet killer's charging array. We need to buy more time. The battle raged across the stars above Aldara Prime. Human ships darted between the larger Krakthar vessels, striking with precision and retreating before the enemy could respond. It was a testament to human tactics and the 3 weeks they'd spent studying their opponent. Captain, Peter called out suddenly, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the Krakthar fleet. Their formations are becoming erratic. Diana leaned forward. The quantum device. Grant must have activated it. Inside the Krakthar command ship, Grant and his team had reached the central chamber after fierce fighting. The room was vast, with control stations manned by Krakthar officers. At its center stood Supreme Warlord Gracchus, his massive form encased in ornate battle armor. The warlord turned as the humans burst in, his yellow eyes narrowing with fury. Earth vermin, he snarled. You dare to invade my ship? We dare a lot of things, Grant replied, signaling his team to deploy the device. That's kind of our specialty. Gracchus drew a fearsome energy blade. Your primitive species cannot hope to defeat the Krakthar Dominion. We have conquered worlds for thousands of years. You are nothing. Grant smiled slightly. That's where you're wrong. We might be new to the galaxy, but we've been fighting our own wars for our entire history, and we've gotten very good at it. The quantum device hummed as the Marines activated it. Blue energy pulsed outward in expanding rings, passing through the chamber and beyond. Gracchus roared and charged toward them, but suddenly stumbled, his movements becoming uncoordinated. Around the chamber, the Krakthar officers clutched their heads in pain. What have you done? Gracchus demanded. Disrupted the quantum field that links your hive mind command structure, Grant explained. The Aldarans figured out how your ships coordinate so perfectly. Now that connection is scrambled. Grant's comm unit crackled. Major, this is Captain Moore. Whatever you did is working. The Krakthar fleet is in disarray, but the planet killer is still charging. You need to disable it now. Understood, Captain. Grant turned to his team. Nash, Martinez, secure the Warlord. Johnson, Rogers, with me. We need to find the weapon controls. On the bridge of the Valiant, Diana watched as the Krakthar fleet's perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Ships that had moved in perfect harmony now drifted aimlessly, or collided with one another. Admiral Dawson is reporting the same effect. Throughout the Krakthar fleet, Sam reported. Their coordination is completely disrupted. Diana nodded. Tell all ships to focus on the command ship's weapon array. We have one chance to end this. The remaining human vessels converged, concentrating their fire on a single point of the massive Krakthar command ship. The combined firepower broke through the already weakened shields, striking the planet killer's charging array directly. Direct hit, Peter announced. The weapon's power levels are fluctuating. Inside the command ship, Grant and his team fought their way to the weapon control chamber. The Krakthar were still dangerous individual fighters, but without their coordinated tactics, the humans' superior training gave them the edge. They reached the massive room housing the planet killer's controls. The weapon's core glowed with ominous red energy, building toward critical levels. Johnson, you're our tech expert. Shut it down, Grant ordered. The Marine rushed to the alien control panel. Sir, I can't read any of this. It's all in their language. Grant tapped his comm. Captain, we've reached the weapon controls but can't decipher them. Any suggestions? Stand by, Major, came Diana's reply. Moments later, Zeth's voice came through. Major Grant, I'm sending you a translation overlay for your visual display. Look for a sequence of pulsing symbols on the right side of the main console. Grant found them. Got it. That's the emergency shutdown. You'll need to enter the sequence I'm transmitting now. As Johnson worked on the shutdown sequence, the ship rocked violently. What was that? Grant demanded. Your fleet is attacking. The weapon array from outside, Zeth explained. The combination of external damage and internal shutdown should disable it permanently. The red glow of the weapon core flickered and then faded. Captain Moore, we've done it, Grant reported. The planet killer is offline. On the Valiant, a cheer went up from the exhausted crew. The Krakthar fleet is breaking apart, Peter reported. Many ships are retreating. Others are still fighting, but without coordination. Diana opened a channel to Admiral Dawson. Admiral, we have an opportunity to capture the Krakthar command ship. With Supreme Warlord Gracchus as our prisoner, we might be able to negotiate a permanent withdrawal. Agreed, Captain, Dawson replied. Well done. You and your crew have performed beyond all expectations. Diana smiled for the first time in days. It wasn't just us, sir. It was all of humanity working together with the Aldarans. We make a good team. 1 week later, representatives from Earth and Aldara gathered in the Great Hall of the Aldaran capital city. The room was filled with light from tall crystal windows. At the center stood Admiral Dawson and the Aldaran High Council. Today, we formalize the bond between our peoples, said the Aldaran leader. When we sent our call for help into the darkness of space, we did not know if anyone would answer. The humans not only came to our aid but fought with courage we had never witnessed. Admiral Dawson stepped forward with a data tablet. The stellar accord between Earth and Aldara marks the beginning of a new chapter for both our worlds. Together, we will stand against aggression and tyranny throughout the galaxy. As they signed the historic agreement, Captain Diana Moore stood with her crew at the side of the hall. Peter Blackwell leaned closer to her. Reports are coming in from across the sector. The news of the Krakthar defeat is spreading. And? Diana asked. 3 other species have already sent messages to Earth asking for similar protection. It seems we've made quite an impression. Diana looked around at the gathering. Humans and Aldarans standing together in friendship. Earth had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had answered a call when no one else would, and in doing so, had changed the course of history. It's just the beginning, she said. The galaxy is vast and there are more stars than we can count, but wherever there's a call for help, humanity will answer. Outside the hall, the Aldaran sun shone brightly on a world that had nearly been lost, and in orbit above, the ships of Earth kept watch, guardians of a new alliance born in the fire of battle, proof that when pushed to their limits, humans could truly strike like a storm.